With the Clay That Woke, this is going to be kind of the standard Gauntlet game where we've got the inclusivity policy as well as X card. If something like that comes up at some point, we can just simply, if you do like an X in the thing, we can see to go ahead and cancel what it is. We can talk a little bit about lines and veils that we want to do. I usually go like no sexual violence, things like harm against children, torture if it happens is veiled. I don't know if there's any other things in particular you'd want added to those.
I lately have been asking people to veil particularly grisly descriptions of wounds.
Okay.
Like it's totally okay to tell me like what kind of wound. I just don't want to necessarily hear the details.
The fact that he's hurt is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I have anything in particular I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
That wasn't already covered, I should say.
Yeah. Here, and I'll just put a little. I'll put a little thing in the thing for Clay That Woke, lines and veils. All players' journals. All right. So with one of these here, since you both have read the book, so you got that understanding of the kind of unusual aspect of the system, where you're discovering who they are through play. You currently start off as a nameless Minotaur here in the Gringo Glade. Maybe we introduce ourselves real quick. I'm Michael Matthews. I'll be running it. We can start there. If you each want to.
Yeah, I am Patrick. I will be playing a philosopher Minotaur.
I'm the name Steven. I'll be playing the nameless soldier Minotaur.
Yeah. And pronouns for me are he and him.
Same.
Okay, cool. So, Clay That Woke is all about Minotaurs living in the Gringo Glade, a gigantic civilization that has fallen and is actually a collection of a number of cities that have kind of grown together over the centuries, and this intractable jungle outside of it. And that jungle itself is, there are people that live in it, however, it's extremely wild. It is a place where a lot of people fear to go, but every Minotaur at some point, probably several points, will end up in there, probably to refresh themselves, because you are creatures of both kind of civilization and the wild. You're trying to keep yourself in between those two things. And then up above are the leafless watchers, the trees that tower far up into the sky, and they say will not bloom again until the Gringo Glade will once again rise as a civilization, which currently it does not seem like it is in a hurry to do. So one of the things with the Minotaurs, our found race that were discovered in the mud of the river several generations ago. There's now quite a few. They're all male. They go by no names. They often do the jobs other people don't want to do, and their code of silence is one of the most important things about how they keep themselves working with society. Be courageous, act with wisdom, work for justice and the social good, do not use the names of women, do not want, do not express your emotions, are the rules of silence and the things that you are supposed to follow. However, this is not a world that makes that particularly easy. So we'll begin with Patrick. You have been working for Talash. Talash originally, the place where she works used to be a place where the elderly and the orphaned were taken care of. It was a place where those who had kind of been cast off from society or had no home came, those who had lost their families. But over the last probably 3 or 4 years, it has actually turned into essentially, in some respects, kind of a drug den. What they're actually doing is as they sleep, there is a beetle, uh, almost looks kind of like a stag beetle, that they will let onto the people as they sleep. As it crawls up, there are on the pads of its feet. It puts out like a little bit of narcotic that keeps people asleep. It settles itself over someone's mouth, and there are vents sort of built through, like vents sort of throughout the shell that allows the person to breathe. And as it does so, it essentially siphons off their dreams of the people who are sleeping. It pulls them out. Um, as it's kind of going, it'll even begin to glow. And about the time it starts to glow is about when the beetle is going to um, basically drop off of the person and then go on its way. What they have been doing is if you take these and if you pierce the back of the beetle while it's still alive, you can actually suck out this liquid that's in there, and it becomes this fairly powerful drug. And one of the things it does, like, you gain some parts of the dreams and experience of the people who are dreaming. Um, if it's an older person, you kind of get things about their life. Like, there's some wisdom and such involved there. However, if it is a child, very often the person who does it gets this rush of euphoria and youthful energy that they may not have had in quite some time. So it has become a fairly popular drug. And one of the things that is your job is not only to sort of watch over things, but to occasionally help find some more, particularly children, to bring in. Now, as far as you're aware, this doesn't seem to harm any of the people that, it's done. They wake up refreshed. You have noticed that if someone does it for a long time in a row, they kind of see they start to become a little absent-minded, a little sort of unable to. But put it away, the power is still there in their brain, but like the acceleration seems to be missing to one degree or another. Talash calls you into her office. The windows are open. You've got the heat of the jungle. This is not far off the jungle. You've got the heat coming in. She's dripping with sweat as you come in, and like wiping at her forehead, as she's got these papers and scrolls in front of her. There's you, which just kind of points out at you.
Yes.
We have a problem. Dariangelis Emperyei has taken a great interest in trying to find one of the kids here. If we have them going for too long, what it's going to do is thin them out and possibly eventually kill them. We don't want that. This is our living. But we have to try to keep him happy. So he's sending down someone to keep track of the kids, to try to find a specific one that he's looking for. I don't know the details. You'll have to talk to a servant about that. But what's important is we need to make sure that nobody is drained more than 3 nights in a row.
Okay.
And you'll be meeting this evening. However, we could use a few more. We've had a couple who have run away. Could you go out to one of the squares nearby and see if there's any orphans who need a place to stay and some food?
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Okay, so you've got that evening. You're going to go see Dariangelis Emperyei. Do you go and search to see if you can find orphans?
Sure. I mean, especially if we're going to be careful not to overtax anyone, then it's actually a pretty good gig for him, so I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I will head for the nearest square.
Okay. So because parts of the city are these other cities that have all kind of grown into each other, you have all of these like common areas that sometimes clash, and the build like the way they're built together is sometimes a bit odd. Now the Emperyei are essentially, if you want to think of them almost like district bosses, you're not far off. There is no central command structure in the city, but the Emperyei are, for all intents and purposes, kind of in charge, and they're the ones who this family that's sort of all over the place. They tend to be those who are taking care of each of the different sort of neighborhoods and such. As you're going through, like there's one place, there's this old abandoned building that used to be. It looks like it may have been a tavern at one point that burnt down. But you do see some of the dirtier kids. You can often tell the orphans just by it's harder to go down and get like washed up, clean water. They're not having parents or family members tell them wash up before you grab the food because I'm eating from that same plate and you're disgusting. So because of that, there's a tendency for them just to be a little bit dirtier. Just because going down to the river to wash is difficult. It's a pain to do, so they do it sort of less. It's not too long before you actually find a bunch of the kids sort of playing, like doing a hide and seek in and around this building. Other people in the area seem to ignore them. Which probably means they're just used to seeing these orphans in this area. No one's looking to see if it's their kids. These are the ones that are underfoot. They're practically invisible to most people.
Okay. Does there seem to be a leader?
Yeah, you see one of them that she's actually a tiny bit taller than the rest. You don't think she's necessarily older. Something on her face doesn't necessarily look like it's a year or two older, but she seems to be the one. Sort of as she comes out, see the one like they're doing a hide and seek, and this one kid kind of pokes out, and then she literally just steps out like kind of like from the crook of a tree where there was like a lot of. Right after she swings down and goes, "You were supposed to count to 50. Go back and do it again." He's like, but go back now. And he kind of goes back into the house, and you see her scramble up, and there's a bunch of other ones sort of just like look up. But you see just heads poking out and kind of giggling as some of the kids go to different spaces now that they think they may be in a better place. But she seems to be the one in charge.
Okay. She's back up in the tree branch?
Mm-hmm.
Is she, how much, would that put her at about eye level for me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to walk over to her and I will say, "Pardon me, child."
Close it for a moment. Yeah.
Sorry? Oh,
She's kind of, there's this moment of like she's not usually expecting someone to speak to her, particularly a Minotaur. Yeah?
I noticed that you seem to be in charge of your group of friends here. And I work for a person who is in need of some new employees. What's the name of the beetle drug?
Sleep.
Sleep, okay. Are you familiar with the drug known as sleep?
A lot of drugs in this area. The glowing thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Essentially, what we do is we pay people to sleep in our care. You spend the night relaxed in a comfortable bed, guarded by a Minotaur. And in exchange, we collect some of your dreams through the use of a beetle, which we then sell to other people. The dreams do not leave you. They're just the temporary ephemera of that evening.
At this point, you feel like a little kid to your left by your leg. It just kind of like wanders out from the space and just sort of like looking up at you. A couple of the other ones are poking their head out. She goes, "You pay us to sleep."
Safely.
Is there food?
Is there food?
Oh yeah. Oh, the thing is Talish keeps them pretty well because she needs them healthy. The happier they are, the happier the basically what's created. Their dreams will tend to be happier. If everything's awful, their dreams will tend to be awful, and therefore, like from what you can tell, like the addicts don't mind like the rough hit on occasion, but overall they want it to be fairly good.
And the connoisseurs are the ones with money. So,
yeah.
Yes, food and clean water. We want you to be happy. The happier the dreams are, the happier our customers are.
There's,
We It's not a permanent position. We can only take a few nights in a row from each person, and then they need some time off. But we are in need of some new people of your approximate age, for that is the most popular sales item, is the dreams of children.
Well, they tell me that a Minotaur is unable to tell a lie, otherwise its tongue falls out. How much does it pay?
Whatever the amount is.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So at this point, she kind of the other ones have all kind of come out. The one kid who comes out is like, "All right, I see you." Sort of look. So see how it goes.
Okay.
So I put some stuff in here.
Okay.
Now, on the one hand, I probably have not put in like a harm token. The chances of her like shivving you are pretty low in this case. Also, you've got like a fairly good. You're offering a lot to people that have like this is a city that doesn't give people a whole lot. So on the one hand, so what I put in is I put in like no tokens, skull the wound tokens essentially, or I can put a voice token in if there's like a supernatural aspect to it, which there's not in this case. But I can also put in silence or courage, depending on the kind of character that you're talking to. So
Okay.
what you want to decide is you'll end up putting 4 out total. That's what it sounds like when I fake it. You'll end up putting a couple tokens in, and Stephen, in a moment when we go to you, we'll kind of do the same thing. So you each have an opportunity to use it to see. So you notice like when the tokens tell you when you put each one in, these are what they kind of give you.
Okay. So I probably want to put in, for a challenge like this, mind tokens.
How many?
2.
Okay. Anything else?
Not right now.
Okay. That makes it easy because I put in 2 tokens. So, well, yeah. So actually, I pull out the 2 that I have. So there's going to be 1 no.
Okay.
So we'll put that. Whoops. I am still on the map. Let me go back to the. Oh, whoops. I screwed up real quick. I put the example tokens over here on the side so that I could pull them over. So there's 1 no token. But I also get both of the mind tokens that you put in.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull. And a silence token.
Okay.
Because she's a intrinsic character with weird beliefs. Put it here. So now what you want to do is we can kind of head through knowing these are the 4 that you've got. So as we head down to match, you have no gift tokens, there's no silence tokens. And then wait, did I put the silence or did I put the oops, I pulled out a name token, not a silence token. Yeah, let me pull a silence one out. There's a silence. Okay. So if you go down there, you'll see the first one you have is your efforts change the mind of your opposition.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the silence token and the no token. And oh no, I'm sorry, it doesn't do that because that has a name token. 1 name token is grayed out, the other one isn't.
So it's that the silence token is treated here as a life token because it's the only one.
Okay. But that's if you have no life token in your supply prior to this inflection.
Right.
Yeah, we have one in your supply. So as you go down, we've got none of those, no courage tokens, mind. So we're probably looking at is on the second page. Mind, and a no. Your cleverness brings an outcome in your favor, and you get a name token.
Yeah.
You can take yourself a name token. That leaves 1 silence. And it looks like 2, 3. So it looks like there are no others. So let me check one thing real quick. Find drawn a combination of tokens don't match even a single outcome. Okay, so yeah, and then the other one, the bottom menu, one with a couple. One of those unmatched tokens being treated as another type of token, take them out of the menu. But yeah, don't worry about it. So yeah, that last one just isn't matched. But the nice thing is, not only do you get the name token, you get that extra silence token.
Okay.
So those go to you.
So I get a name token and a silence token.
Yep.
Okay.
And nothing was lost because all 4 that were put in were pulled out. Okay,
So
like,
have I spent those 2 mind token, or do I?
Well, you technically spent them, but then they come back to you because there was only 4 in the lot.
Okay.
So I pulled out all 4 that were in there. There was none left behind. So yeah, there's 2 mind tokens. We'll probably do in the future. Actually, just if you slide yours out like onto the like the menu,
Okay.
what we do is say those ones are there, and then I can just kind of pull in the extras. It'll be easier to know what goes away or what stays.
Gotcha.
Okay. She looks. She's like, okay. If it's food, does it hurt?
It does not.
Okay. And one of them kind of grabs your hand, and it just sort of looks up at you and goes, "Are we gonna have a home?"
Well, again, only a few nights at a time, but
There actually is a place for them to stay because what they don't want are the people who are there to wander off and not be found again.
oh, okay. So they actually have.
It is in her best interest to keep everybody happy.
Oh, okay. Then yes, you will. There will be a home.
Yeah. And so yeah, they all kind of gather up and head back with you.
Okay.
So, Stephen.
Yes.
Something hits a wall and shatters fairly hard. D'Angelis Emperyei is not the kindest of people, not the most stable of people, but you hear him cursing, "Damn it!" He heads into the room that you're in. Takes a moment to look at you for a moment and goes, "I should probably just send you to kill him."
That is your usual solution, Master.
Yeah, I can't have you go and kill my father, much as I'd like you to. My sister! He's going to put my sister up. Okay, look. One of the things that's happened that's been a little unusual over the last few weeks, he's been having people paid to essentially like stay in his room while he sleeps. And what they've been doing is writing down the stuff he's been saying, because as he takes sleep, he's an addict of it, but occasionally with sleep and with one of the ones that he got from that he ended up getting from Telosh, there were ancient memories of a language that is no longer spoken. And he was speaking in this ancient language in his sleep, because he's always spoken in his sleep. But the thing is, it brought on seizures in the people who heard it. And he has been on a kind of a desperate sleep binge over the last while, trying to get the other thing that will let him. Because like he remembers it for a short bit after he wakes up, and you've even seen him like from a distance where you can't quite hear him say it, and other people will fall into these seizures from this word, but the word escapes him relatively quickly. And it's one of those things that he's been trying to have someone write it down. When you said it, it's still been like kind of half groggy, half in sleep, half out of sleep. They've got like bits of it, but the problem is someone hears it and then they go into a seizure. He's been talking about bringing Minotaurs in. And he goes, I have someone showing up who should be able to make its way through, but last week and a half, Talish is... all the sleep we've gotten has not been from whoever lets me do this. So what I need you to do is go through, keep track of the children as this is happening, and find out who it is so that I can take from that kid. So if I get this, I can inherit everything. But I have to do it soon.
Maybe I just didn't hear that part. What is it that he needs to take?
Oh. The sleep.
Oh, okay.
What he's asking you to do is essentially go down, and he doesn't know who he's getting the sleep from that connects him to this previous this previous life, or like the whatever gives him that language. There's a thought that like it might be that there's someone with an ancient bloodline that some of this stuff is unconscious. He's trying to find that kid because he knows it's from a kid because it's got the kind of high it gives you is from a child. It's got that upper like huge amount of energy and potential, but he's desperate to find who that kid is so he can have this thing lodge in his head so that he can use it as a weapon, essentially. And his father is old enough and frail enough that if he were to have this seizure, which you saw, adults who were in fairly good shape, it was fairly rough on them, which is why he wants to bring in a Minotaur, because they're just you're all physically a lot stronger than regular people.
Okay. I admit this will be at least safer than the last hunting expedition you sent me on.
What was the last one you sent you on?
Oh, Well, it was a bit unseemly, and he was having certain issues performing with his wife, and well, you know, it says that the best stimulant comes from the male members of animals, and what better animal to harvest it from than other humans?
Yeah, see, he does some stuff, but he kind of takes a moment, just looks at you, and he's like, "Is that you? Oh, make sure you don't kill this one." Just go on. Talish is not going to want you to do this, but I'm paying a lot of money, and I still have a good deal of money and a good deal of power. So if she decides to cross us, you let her know in no uncertain terms that I will destroy her.
I'm certain that she will be terrified. And I mean it very sarcastically, but it doesn't come across in my voice.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a little strung out right now anyway, too. Okay. Good. Keep track of the kids. I don't want old people being drained right now. But the kids, want to find some way to mark them to figure out who it is. Once we got the kid, then we're golden. And we can do this. Why are you still here?
What is it I'm looking for in these children exactly? How will I know?
And after you got this moment, you look at his eyes. He has no idea. He's like, I need to find the kid whose sleep opens this up in me, and I don't know who it is, and I've had it a couple times now. It's from her, and it's from her people, but I haven't had it in a couple days. We actually it's been about a week and a half, and I can't take everybody. So we got to find out. There's something special about one of the kids there. Ancient bloodline. I don't know if you're looking for birthmarks or purple eyes or something, or just keeping track and bringing them back so I can figure out what comes from who.
I sigh. Very well. I'll go speak with Talosh.
Okay. So, the first problem you see when you enter in the thing is there's the room where you see both humans and minotaurs going and like kind of plucking the sleep off of people. There's probably 30 people sleeping in the room right now, and you know that they've been doing it in some shifts. You're looking at, I mean, on the one hand, a lot of people don't live to be terribly old, but you are seeing a bunch of people, a lot of kids, a lot of older people lying down. And on your way in, you actually kind of pass by. There's a minotaur who is showing a bunch of like orphans around. And then Patrick, as you're kind of going around showing the orphans around, there's another minotaur you don't recognize kind of walks by. And Stephen, you're going to Talish's office. There's got a secretary, just kind of looks up at you, fairly imperious, and goes, "Who are you? Why are you here?"
I am, and who's my employer right now again?
Dariangelis Emperyei.
I am here from the Emperyei. I will speak with Talosh.
Okay, that's not quite spelled right, but I put it in the chat for Roll20. Just a moment. Goes in the door, and you just hear like, "Why? What?" Send him in. And he comes out and just looks like you can talk to her. And she's sitting behind the desk and just kind of drumming her fingers. What does Dariangelis want?
What does any sleep addict want? He wants more sleep, but apparently he wants a specific, I do not know what you call it, vein form.
He likes the kids stuff. I don't think we've ever sent him anything that came from someone who's old. You can always tell the color's different.
Yes. Have you sent him anything of unusual quality recently? Something that was different in its flavor?
Have you ever seen someone take sleep?
My employer is the Emperyei. I
Doesn't
see
matter.
someone take sleep quite frequently.
Then you know that the only way to take sleep is to pierce the back of the beetle. Now, beetles can be pierced a number of times because they will heal before they die. However, what we can't do is taste it before it goes out. This isn't some type of opium. This isn't some other types of drugs where you can actually test the quality of it. Sleep is sleep. You get what you get. Like, we would have no way of knowing if something got sent was a particular quality. Because as far as we're concerned, it's all depends on the person.
So, kind of not an in-character question. How expensive would it be to buy up all the children's sleep they're producing right now?
It's one of those things where if he had all the money from his father, and he's being on the outs for his father, he might be able to barely swing it. However, he definitely does not have the money to be like, I'm going to buy everything you've got. The other problem is it does go bad, and after a couple days, and which you can't, because the base of the beetle is going to consume it, it's what it lives on. So it has to be kind of within about a day. So if you try to take all of it, you'd probably die. So he doesn't have the money for it. It would also be impractical.
Mm-hmm. Well, I cannot. I only speak for my employer, but he wants a specific child's sleep. Would it be possible to allow me to inspect them?
What would you be inspecting them? How? What are you going to find on the kid that would show you anything?
I nod. I honestly do not believe I will find anything, but what is important is that I take back to my employer word that I found something unique. And I'm certain that he would pay you much more than that child is worth to you for your affirmation that the child is extraordinary.
Okay. So at this point, I'm going to take some tokens here. Now, also realizing the chances, it seems like she might say no. I'll let you know, like, for example, there's more than just the two that were in there, because last time he had sort of a better bargaining spot.
Yeah, that's fair. So, looking at my own of what I'd want to do. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna toss in 2 mind and silence.
Okay. So 2 mind and a silence. Okay.
Actually,
yes.
I only have 1 mind, so
Okay.
actually, yeah, I guess I'll toss in a mind and 2 silence.
Okay. So if you
Because
just want
I'm
to go ahead and
aiming for truth rather than success here.
sort of slide those over. Okay, so I have pulled out, what is that? A no. I think I still have those out. No, maybe not. Choose. So I'll try out 1 no. Looks like 1 silence. Another silence. And another no. That means, yeah, one of the mind tokens, and I'd had another one in there for a courage, for her being an intrinsic character with good pro beliefs. So that 1 mind token will go away. However, you will have both silences returned to you.
Okay, and it means that first off, I get a possible truth because it was silence and 2 mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then nothing else, I believe. I already have a life in here, so.
Sorry, just a sec. The keyboard fell.
Okay.
I have a standing desk and it decided to fall all the way to the ground. Okay. Shoot. So do this
I
again.
imagine that something very similar happened the time he sent me off to get human penises as well.
Yeah.
There are a whole bunch of geldings that happened that day.
So the first one was the possible truth, and then what was the other one?
Nothing else. The other silence didn't do anything.
Okay, yeah. So because you still have a life token in yours, so it won't become that. Yes, there's a moment where she just goes, or then we can kind of continue playing it out. What was the last thing you had said? I'm sorry. You remember?
I had basically offered that She didn't have to. She didn't have to give me like she. We didn't have to find an actually unique child. She just needed to tell my employer that the child was unique and the one he was looking for.
She goes, well, the problem with that is he's going to know if it's not the one he's looking for. But tell him this. I'm assuming whatever feeling he's going for is different from regular sleep. He hires a number of people who take sleep. They'll know the difference. Line them up. We can keep track of where they're going. It'll cost him extra. He's probably going to want you to supervise or someone to supervise. But that's the best thing I got. If he needs to find it, unless he wants to taste test every single one that comes out, he can only do so many in a week.
I'm certain the latter would be his preference, but I also have his health to think of.
I tell you what, just goes her thing. Go find the one that just brought the kids in. I'm gonna set you up with someone here. They'll be able to help you. No one can be harmed. It damages the sleep. But I also know who your boss is, and I know what he's like. Patrick, at that point, you got the kids kind of showing them around. Her secretary comes up to you, and he's just goes, you. She's asked you to come and help her with something.
Okay. I appear in the doorway shortly thereafter.
Okay. And she goes, this is, okay, you're both Minotaurs. I need you to basically let him check out the kids that we've got. He's looking for a very specific sort of high. That seems like it may come from one of them. It may take some time to figure out or sort who actually it's coming from, but that's why you two will be working together.
A specific kind that he wants to find, or a specific kind that he wants to find again?
I believe it's one that he wants to find again.
I see. When was it last? When did he last receive it?
That she kind of goes to you.
So I was there the last time he took it, right?
Yeah, it's been about 5 days.
Yeah, it about 5 days. He took it about 5 days ago. There were not any occurrences of fits or, and I kind of grate the words out, possessions in your establishment around that time.
I'm assuming the answer is no.
We're not even sure what he means by possessions.
Possession?
I mean, I assume that probably somebody happened to fit, and they're like, "Oh, he's possessed."
Oh yeah.
A fit.
Yeah, the thing is the scarabs, the shining scarabs that take it, that narcotic puts people into a really deep and restful sleep because they need strong dreams to pull from.
No, we have not had any possessions recently. I see. So, and this is something that he received regularly before?
It is. He has received sleep regularly. This most recent brain is one that he would like to sample again.
I see. Okay. Well, that narrows it down to people who we harvested 5 days ago. And you say it was a child.
The problem there is
further.
you've got them kind of going in some shifts, but you don't necessarily keep track too close. They kind of go in three. You make sure it's been sort of 3 days in between, but there's enough that like you don't want to have them drain too quickly, and there's enough where some of them will go a week or so without, but you don't necessarily keep too much of a track because we can usually ask them how long it's been since they've been in there.
Okay, so it's 3 on, 3 off is the schedule we're using.
At least 3 off. Sometimes it's more.
Okay.
The problem is going to be like you can narrow it down some, like it wasn't someone that you have like in the last day or two.
Gotcha. So and we know that if the thing only lasts for a day, then we know that it was probably, we can pinpoint down to a 24-hour period that we harvested.
Yeah.
Okay. Very well. I will begin investigation immediately to try to narrow down the list of potentials. And I take it technique has been found for determining which one it is going forward?
Have guards present. Have guards present with the ones taking the drug. They let them know to wear clothes they do not mind being soiled.
I'm looking at the owner now because I have no idea what that means.
Is she like soiled?
Yes, in case they should end up having to fall to the ground for some reason.
She goes, you can give us a moment. And she points into the main room where you've got like a bunch of people sleeping. Do you stay where you're at or do you leave?
Wait, who's she telling?
Oh, to Steven.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm leaving. Okay. Yes.
Oh, yeah. She says, "Can you give me a moment?" And then.
Okay. I leave.
I kind of lean in a little.
Talos goes over and shuts the door and comes up.
What?
Puts her hand on your arm, which she's done. She's been a little more physical. She's kind of brings him in close. She's like, his employer is dangerous. And if he's a sleep addict, I don't know how it's affected him. Most of them usually are fairly relaxed, but he's got power. From what I've heard, he's kind of desperate to keep it. We need to make sure that none of our supply gets hurt or damaged. Work with him, keep them safe, but be careful. Let me know if anything happens.
I will.
And keep yourself safe.
I will. I will try. Is this... I assume this is the meeting that was originally scheduled for later this evening.
Yes.
His impatience is worth noting. This matter is very important to him, then. I will speak with my associate, as it were, and work out what we can. We will try to narrow this down quickly. Very good. All right, so what I'm going to do actually is walk back out into the common area, and I'm going to point to Stephen's Minotaur, and I'm going to kind of gesture for him to step outside with me.
I sigh and step outside.
Brother, it is good to see you. I understand your desire to protect your employer, and I would not ask you to betray confidences, but between us, any information you can give me would make this search go much more quickly, which I think would benefit us all. What is this talk of fits and possession and falling in soiled clothing?
My employer is a dangerous fool, and is a dangerous fool addict who is looking for magic that will cause seizures and collapse.
And the person who takes the drug? No, you said in the guards.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, that will make narrowing it down actually much simpler. How these fits...
It's why I suggested it.
I understand. These fits, how dangerous are they to the people who receive them?
Well, in healthy men, there should be no real danger.
Okay. I know where I can likely find a few people to willing to volunteer for that test.
You are aware that, as I would say, Patrick, you are aware that nothing like that has happened here.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't make sense for it to happen here because nobody takes the drug here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Stephen was trying to find someone who might talk in their sleep while being drained, which you would then, if that comes up, you'd be able to tell them they can't. There's no one.
Well, I know, but I thought that we were going to
have people take it.
Administer to people.
Okay, yeah, I'll say I wasn't sure if you were wanting to check the people being done. Okay, cool.
All right.
I'm just gonna stick a guard next to them and see if.
Yeah.
See who has the seizure.
If someone drops, just
the thing
stay away.
There is a decent number of able-bodied men in this city who would be happy to have a seizure in exchange for getting paid. So, yeah. And this all seems pretty wild to me, but, the world, what do I know? So I'm going to, at this point, so it seems like maybe I'm the one in charge of wrangling the volunteers, as it were.
Well, yeah, she's kind of put you, you're the liaison, working with Stephen to try to get something done. She puts a lot of trust in you.
Okay. Specifically, what I was thinking was, do I know within any group of people, because if they all live together and they work 1 8-hour shift, which is sleeping even, then there is probably, there's probably a few people who are just the most reliable to be like, hey, who was working a few days ago? Because there's always going to be busybodies. So I think I'm going to want to consult with them, the 1 or 2 gossip mongers in the crowd, and be like, hey, who was working 5 days ago, who maybe hasn't been working since? Has anybody disappeared in the past week? I know we're going to lose people here and there. It's not the most stable industry, but has anybody just up and gone?
Yeah, you ask one of the humans who works there, and he's like, yeah, it won't be hard to pick out some of the last week or so. Are you looking for any type in particular? Like the old folks and little ones?
The younger ones.
Oh, yeah. Let me try to figure out who was working. You said how many days ago?
5 days.
All right, yeah. Let me go and see who was here about 5 days ago. And he kind of heads down into the, essentially dorm, like the ruins of the houses that have been reclaimed and rebuilt that were on the edge of the forest.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they run around. Comes back a little later on. It's like, yeah, we think we've got it down to about 20 people. We're especially looking for kids.
Okay, well, that's a start. How many are available for harvesting?
There's a couple of them that should probably wait a day or two, but if they go now, it'll be okay.
Let's start with the ones that's definitely safe and move on from there. How many people can we harvest at one time anyway?
Part of it depends. There's people who keep track of the beetles, keeping them because they need to not drain them too much. But you can, you could technically get probably 10 to 15 without too much of a problem.
Okay. Well, and I don't want to disrupt our overall supply or all of our customers will be mad, and that's not good either. So yeah, I'll try to get them in and out as quickly as I can. I'm not going to screen anybody if they're within a day of being ready, just in case. I also want to check in with the people who are in charge of the bugs. Could it be the bug? She said they could be reused.
Yeah. when you check with Fallet, one of the guys who's worked with them, is just like, if this thing happened more than once, I mean, no, the chances of getting the same beetle again are almost impossible.
Okay.
I mean,
There's no pattern on what beetle feeds on what volunteer goes to which addict?
no,
Okay.
we just make sure that they're healthy, happy, and hungry.
Fair enough. All right, so it's not the beetle, then it's probably the kid. So we're going to be pushing through this test procedure. I will round up some workers who are like willing to test their health against getting knocked over by magic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to phrase it a little better than that. And yeah, and I'll report back to Talash to let her know what's going on. Like once I've got the procedure in motion, I'll just swing by and let her know.
Okay. So, Stephen, well, are you keeping Stephen abreast of all this stuff, or?
Yeah, I'm not going to take him with me for these meetings unless he really, really insists on it. So I imagine I'll just be going back to where I left him and be like, I've got this in motion. It's going to take it's going to take a day or two to get this whole procedure through. Has your employer given us any kind of a timeline?
No, and I suppose that means he'll want it by when I return to him this afternoon.
Well, that we cannot do. But I would be happy to explain to him at great length the procedures that we're enacting if that would inspire him to tell us to go about our business.
Very well. And I sigh very, very pointedly.
Mm. I just kind of smile and nod. And how is life treating you in general, brother?
I hunt fool humans on for the sake of other, even more fool humans. Things proceed.
I understand.
And you?
So, I do well. I help a small community function. An unusual income source, perhaps, but a relatively painless one. So when Stephen's character is making reference to fool humans and so forth, does that begin to lean in the general direction of emotion expressing, like allowing that to color his speech? Is that the sort of thing that, as a philosopher, I would take note of and be like, hey, bro?
It wouldn't necessarily. It's not like a breaking of silence, but
Sure.
It's possibly a warning in that direction.
He seems a little ruffled.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll smile and nod and kind of clap you on the shoulder and be like, yes, very good. Shall we go see your employer then, or?
Yes, and be sure to compliment him on his new coat. He had the last man who didn't executed.
Of course. Thank you for the advice.
Could you take him back to De Angelis?
Yes.
Okay. You head across the city. You get to, not terribly far. But as you get there, one of the kind of a nervous servants is like, have you come back with what you were sent to get? He's looking between you and Patrick Minotaur, like, fairly concernedly.
I forget who's your employee. What's the other? Who, I'm just trying to keep track of names. Who's the person I was just meeting with?
Oh,
Talash.
Telash.
No, I have brought back this representative of Talash to inform our beloved employer why she cannot answer his desires in a timely manner.
Okay, now that is a problem, though, right?
How's that?
Well, he just used the name of a woman.
Oh, yes.
Right. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, so yeah, when it, I'll say that there's just a moment probably where you have a look. Remove one of your silences.
Sure.
I'm not trying to play gotcha. I'm just trying to get this.
No, that's good. Because the thing is, when silence goes away, one, it gets you into the jungle. It's a way to kind of get you there, too. Plus, I think you also gained an extra silence from the last, didn't you?
No, I put in 2, I think. Or I thought I put in.
Because I put one silence in for her. And I thought that one maybe didn't. I thought you lost a mind token but gained a silence.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm just misremembering. Maybe I'm misremembering then. Okay.
Yeah. So there might be. Is there? I don't know if Patrick, if you say anything when you hear
that. No, but I will probably be startled by it.
Yeah. And it sort of looks. He's like, well, we'll show them the way. And as you start to head up some of the steps from it, Corinne pops out. Corinne, rather. Corinne is essentially kind of like his head. She's like assassin. She's got a lot of ties into the underworld. I mean, she's kind of the person that he uses to do things that he wants to keep secret. And she comes out and puts a hand on you, Stephen. Goes, let him go. We should talk. And then she kind of points and goes, he's right up there.
Thank you.
So, Stephen, do you go into the side room with her?
Yes, I do.
Okay. She sits down.
I stand. None of the chairs are big enough for me anyway.
That's just, how close is he coming to maybe figuring out who this kid is?
A search is in progress. Tala, the keeper, not getting me that time. The keeper of beetles is searching, but I do not believe that her search will progress as quickly as Emperyei would prefer.
But as he maybe narrowed down the possibilities to the people it might be.
It's still a from what I recall, it was still a rather large number, right?
Yeah, I don't know if Patrick had told you any specifics about that.
I probably would have just told you that it would be a day or two before we could test everyone. Test every potential, I guess.
It appears that it is still a fair sum, but not all.
If he knows who it may be, what we might do this evening, send some people in, take them. Take some people that take care of the beetles. So we can bring them here so we can find out faster. We would need you to make sure that we know who to take.
Very well. I will speak with the Mistress of Beetles, Minotaur. He is a naive sort, and I think that he may provide me with the names.
Okay. After night falls, about 2 hours after that, we'll send some people inside. Be there, be ready.
I nod.
You may want to join your friend before De Angelis kills him. So, Patrick, when you walk in, De Angelis just looks up and goes, "Well, what'd you find out?"
Is this like a kneel, or should I bow, or
No.
no? Okay.
I mean, generally, you're not like that subservient type. It's not like a. It's like you're meeting a businessman essentially in today's thing. There are
Gotcha.
no like masters here. It's just some people are so rich, there's not much of a difference.
Okay. And is he in fact wearing the coat?
Yes.
We should have results for you very soon. We can complete our testing within the next 24 hours or so. And may I say, by the way, what a magnificent coat you're wearing.
You think a beetle kind of is his mouth, like he crunches it. And, well, you're not the one I sent. No, you're not the one I sent.
No, I speak for the dealer of sleep.
Oh. Okay. 24 hours?
Approximately, yes.
You should be able to pinpoint this kid.
Yes, we will be harvesting many and testing their output. And once we isolate the strain, of course, we would be happy to reserve that child for your personal use. We obviously have no. We understand that a connoisseur will not be pleased with off-brand results.
I looked at you for a moment. Goes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, how many did you narrow it down to? I mean, is it?
We have a small pool that we should be able to work through within a few shifts. The process simply requires several hours, of course, to harvest, and then we test as quickly as we can. We should be able to process everyone within 3, at the outside 4 shifts, but I believe 3 should be sufficient.
And Stephen, that's about the point where you reach the top of the steps and into the room where they're at. Okay, so 3-4 shifts, that about 24 hours. Yeah, and sort of looks over at you, Stephen, and goes, so it looks like they figured out what you need?
Yes, they have.
He goes, so 3 or 4 shifts. I mean, there's that many possibilities. I saw the beds, the room of beds you got down there. There's a lot of people that can actually sleep down there. So I'm assuming, you got like, 75, 100 kids you're testing out?
Not quite that many. If this is a matter of extreme urgency, we could devote all our resources to it for a brief period of time, but that would require a certain delicate negotiation with my employer regarding the output thereof, you understand.
I wonder if this is a delicate situation.
I quite.
You think I send someone down? You're here in my office talking to me. You wonder if it's delicate?
No, I simply wonder if it is. We did not assume that you would want to devote that level of resources to it, but if that is your wish, I can certainly return to my employer and up the process.
Okay. In this moment, he looks over at Stephen. Stephen goes, you think they can get this done quick?
Yes, I believe with my involvement, they will be finished very quickly.
All right. Guy takes a look at you for a moment. It's like, go get it done. Let her know that I got money that I can give her. We need this done fast.
Okay. I would be delighted.
Okay. And we want to take like about a 5-minute bio break.
Sure.
Cool. I'll see you in a few. Okay. So he seems to have dismissed you. What are you to do?
I haul ass back and get everybody started right now.
Okay. You go back to all that done. Stephen, what about you?
Well, I follow Patrick's Minotaur back. I need to speak to him about how the Emperyei will be providing security for extra security while we perform this examination of his employer's product. In order to put his mind at ease.
Of course. This will use up all our beds, and as long as the Emperyei does not mind covering that cost, I imagine that we could get this done, I'd say within the next 10 hours, we should have our answer. So once we get back, I'm basically going to give the orders that as soon as somebody's, well, I'm going to find Talash first because I want to make, I'm not going to do this without her permission. Is she in her office?
Not in her office, but she's. It's not hard to find her in the place.
About.
She's kind of going
Okay.
around.
Mistress, the Emperyei is more eager for this information than we have anticipated. He wants it as soon as it is available, and he is prepared to cover that cost. So it would seem the only way to avoid his displeasure is to immediately turn all our resources to this and to the testing of the results. All things considered, we can have it done within the next 10 hours or so. Get everyone harvested and then start the testing. And he says that he will cover the cost of that.
He's not the only customer that we have. If we bend over this far for him, he's going to expect us to possibly do more. Emperyei are not people who, once you've given an inch, go back to, or once you've given a mile, go back to the inch.
I see.
Tell him a day it's safer.
He did not like that answer.
What do you think will happen?
I think that if we can afford a single shift's disruption in our operation, we may be able to please this man.
You pour yourself a drink. You want one?
No, thank you. And if we don't, I think he will be quite angry. He is not a patient man, it seems. He is also insisting on providing more security. You understand?
No. That is a no. It's going to freak out the people who are here. It's going to... I can't let... If he has people here once, they're never going to leave.
I see. This information was not communicated directly by him. It came through his representative. Shall I communicate that to him in turn?
I'm not liking this.
I agree that this is not an ideal situation.
Yeah,
look, I told him that, of course, once we had isolated the source, we would be happy to always send that output to him. And the idea seemed like it had never occurred to him, which means either he hasn't thought this through, or he has no plan on working with us for the future.
Well, both of those seem pretty likely, and considering he's an addict.
That is, of course, the difficulty with this business.
Yeah. He's one of the few that have the resources to possibly put his own thing together. So what you can do, we have the guards here, and I think that's inviting everything we don't want.
I understand.
While this is happening, Stephen, what are you doing?
I'm probably arranging with so let's see, I'm probably taking a look around the area, because in some sense I've consigned myself to the fact that the Emperyei is probably going to kill people to get this. I can at least make it so that it's less bloody.
Yeah.
I'm sort of looking around the area and planning out the number of men it would take to sort of seize control of the place with the least amount of bloodshed.
Well, she's got you're kind of like, oh, I was muted. Yeah, as you walk around, you can see probably right now at least about maybe 10, 12 guards. There's also a number of people whose job it is, like nurses or almost nannies, are taking care of the kids. There's cooks, all the stuff to kind of keep them going. The guards mostly are sort of when the people come to buy. So like some of them will buy there and then basically give the beetle back. It's cheaper that way, but it also lets them reuse the beetles because they've got like the sort of the area where the beetles are being harvested and grown. So it looks like roughly 10 on shift guards. There's a bunch of support personnel. You've also got all of the older people there. There's probably 30 of the older people. There's a ton of kids. And a lot of the kids seem to be able to kind of come and go as they please. It's not a bad life for them, so they're so a lot of them kind of they're fed, they've got a place to sleep, they're safe, all of which are something that is in the Gringo Glade is kind of a rare thing to have.
And I see that this is good, and I feel sorry for it, but in the end, the Mistress of Beetles is only a businesswoman. The Emperyei is the Emperyei. And if she does not bend, then she will be broken by him, is my thought.
Okay.
So I'm assuming about this time is when I reemerge and
Yeah.
turn to Stephen's character and I say, so ultimately, did she agree to do the rush job in the hopes that we can just stall him for 10 hours and be done, or is she going to push it all the way to a day? I'm sorry, I'm asking the GM.
Oh, yeah, she might be able to kind of push the rush job, but she doesn't want to. She's very much against guards being brought in, like more security on his end being brought in.
Okay. All right, so I will emerge and I will, yes, and I will turn to this no names thing is weird. And I will say, I have consulted with the dealer of sleep, and she is honored by your Emperyei's offer to assist us with security. But since this is such a swift operation, she does not feel that it was necessary, and we will continue to maintain the security that we have. We will be pushing through this, of course, as quickly as possible, which makes it very unlikely that there will be a problem anyway.
I grunt. It is a nice thought you have, brother. But I feel you think too much with your rumen. Do you believe that my employer will be happy with merely receiving your mistress of beetles supply indefinitely in this thing he finds so important? I believe that he will not be willing to take it with by force. I know I have taken other force from many people for him. There will be blood over this.
But that's so wasteful and needless. He can have what he wants without having any responsibility over its creation, over its manufacture, if he just waits one day. Or he can rush it now, potentially not get what he wants, certainly have a pain to deal with after if he does manage to achieve the child. And then what? Is he going into business now? This makes no sense. There is no long-term thought here.
I shrug. I agree. There is no long-term thought. But fools do not think in those terms. They think only in what they want. And what they want is what they will get. It is merely our place to limit the bloodshed that comes of that. And that is what I will try to do, whether you and your employer attempt to stop me or not.
Brother, I understand your loyalty to your employer, but you must realize how senseless this situation is. If he insists on snatching what he wants, he may not get it. These are the actions of a child who has not yet learned consequences. And you would allow innocent people to die over this?
They will die if I abet him, and they will die if I oppose him. But if I help him, I can assure that fewer will die in the end. I want to make it out of character. This isn't necessarily my thoughts on the situation.
Yeah.
I'm hip.
Yeah.
But you're a soldier. It makes a lot of sense.
It's got a little bit of the dogs in the vineyard, I'm constrained in this way as a character, as a human being, what the hell?
Right, yeah, exactly. I see that your mind is made up. I assume that you will be waiting here for the soldiers who will be arriving shortly.
Yes, they shall arrive.
We will speak again. And I nod and go back inside.
Okay.
And I'm going to go find Talash, and I'm going to tell her something I really didn't want to have to point out.
Okay. And while he's doing this, is there anything particular you're doing, Stephen?
Well, I mean, So, what is the arrangement about when these men are when we're bringing these men in?
They set up probably about 2 hours after nightfall. They're kind of waiting for people to kind of be asleep, be more off their guard.
Oh, okay, because I was going to bring them in to try to kind of set up a quote-unquote protection guard duty.
You could run back now and get.
Yeah,
them.
I'm probably going to go back and set. Well, if Talash isn't willing to give them to let us come in peaceably, then I suppose I'll have to think about. I suppose we will have to take the place. So yeah, I guess I'll go. I guess I'm returning to Corinne to let her know that we will not. That we will have to take the place by force.
Okay, so you're running back, and then we'll play your scene after we get Patrick's. So Patrick's, you go into Talash.
Mm.
And she's standing up, and she's got it looks like she's refilled her cup since you left, and she's nervous. Well, this is probably not good.
No, it doesn't matter what we do. They're coming. They're coming in force. They're coming to take it. They're not even going to give us time to finish a single shift. They don't want us to test. They're going to take everyone.
He's not going to let me live. He's probably going to destroy this entire place. Yes,
I would imagine. There are two possibilities that present themselves, and I do not like either. The former is that we give him what he wants and hope for the best. We give him the 20 people that we have isolated. This will destroy our community, and he will likely burn the house down as he leaves, but perhaps he will not see you hunted down and killed. Additionally, those 20 people will no doubt suffer, and I am not fond of that. The other alternative is that we hold them hostage. If he wants this child so badly, what will he do if he cannot take it by force? Again, people will be hurt, and I am not fond of this.
I don't. And the question becomes, I set this up. Now, yes, I'm making money because we found about the beetles, but people who had no place to go have a place to go here. I don't want to. We have to be willing to use our hostages.
Yes, that would be a problem.
Okay, so to see how this turns out, I have put, and I will say this: which would your preference be?
Oh, for decisions?
Yeah.
Well, there's a third option.
Mm-hmm.
We all run like hell right now.
Okay.
And honestly, I think that would probably be my choice. Everybody gets up and goes. The people who keep the beetles grab their favorite beetles and go home or somewhere, and then we try to meet back up later.
Well, see if you can convince her.
Okay. I'm putting in... See, this is weird, but I feel like courage would be running away in this situation. Because it's the only way that doesn't get us all killed. Does that make sense?
I mean, retreating, is definitely. Yeah. The thing is also with this, one of the things that it's very specific about, you do not have to tie in what you choose to go into the crater to any kind of role playing. It can be completely trying to get what you want.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because remember that courage is mostly helps you with resolving physical opposition, that lets you act with physical confidence or skill, or force a likely threat or opposition. to duck out or fail to materialize. So
Got
it's not necessarily something you'd find useful in this situation.
Okay. Well, then I'm just going to drop 3 mind in because I want to think my way out of this.
Okay.
Anyway, and I think that that's the best thing.
Anything else?
No, I think I'm good with that.
Okay. Okay. So, first one, mind token.
Excellent.
That's it. Second one, what? A no. Third one, a no.
Oh, hell.
And fourth one, the courage.
Courage.
Okay, so you've lost 2 mind tokens. Go away. So, 2 no's, a courage. Oops. Not the right one. So, a no, a courage, and a mind. So you will get an extra courage token. You'll be able to take the one that's up here.
Okay.
All right. So what's that give us?
So what do the grayed out tokens mean? Does it mean
The grayed out means you use them if you have them, but you don't need them to get that thing.
All right. And okay. So I can spend these on the things that I want.
Well, you just go down.
Yeah, you have to, basically it's actually like a kind of numbered list, so you kind of go down and the first one you come to that works you have to do. And then if you have tokens left over, you can keep going down the list.
Okay, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the first one is mind no.
Mind no. You...
It's like a song. Those. It's...
You come to a compromise with the opposition. Well, she's the opposition right now, right?
Yeah.
This isn't. Yeah.
She doesn't want to run.
Yeah, I was afraid of that.
But the thing is, we can look at what the compromise would be. What is the last one? Is just, I don't think it's a courage by itself.
No.
Okay. So you were going for, you wanted to run. She goes, we do too much good. What we could do, take them as hostages. They're not going to believe us for very long. That we might actually have to do what you have to do if you have hostages. But that should give us time to get some more guards, some more help. Hopefully, to get rid of him and his people. That sound doable?
That works for me.
Gather up the children that we know it needs to be. And just the church starts kind of sniffs a little bit. She's holding, and you see a couple tears sort of coming out. It's paid for the old people, the elderly, and brought the orphans in, and I didn't expect I have to hold a knife to their throat. All right, Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
You said you run back?
Yeah.
Okay. You get back to his compound?
Yeah, and I'm going to meet with Corinne to arrange the guards. So you said like in terms of who's actually there, she has at least about a dozen actually armed people. The rest are mostly just the people that are being used to harvest green or sleep.
Yes. Yeah, so probably about a dozen or so actual guards. The rest are support staff. And probably, honestly, probably from what you saw, a lot of families um, who might be there helping with like, especially with their like parents and grandparents.
Yes, I. She has about she has about a dozen. She has about a dozen armed men, but there are many. There are many unarmed in the building. It will be a difficult situation to contain and control.
Okay. How many? I mean, it's kind of questions a little bit about how many people you saw. Um, so it might be the best for us to do is go in there. What I found is a knife at the throat of an innocent stops a lot of guards who aren't being paid enough to watch people die on their watch. How hardened are these guards?
So the guards themselves, because you mentioned there were a lot of families around, did I get the sense that they were actually like paid mercenaries, or that they were just like
A lot of the guards are being paid like a lot of the support staff seem like you've probably got some families, some places that can take care of elderly parents who can barely take care of themselves. They're probably working there. Um, you don't know about the guards. Some of the guards look like they had seen battle. Like you saw a few that might have been veterans of the Ever War, which is the eternal war kind of going on in the jungle. Others are probably fighters. Some of them look like they maybe haven't seen more than a fist fight in their lives. Like there's a mix, but overall, Emperyei brings on people who are kind of more trained killers.
a few veterans, perhaps none so skilled in the art of killing as your few though as skilled in the art of killing as our own men, however.
Okay. So they'll probably drop quickly. We take some of them hostage, maybe burn down part of it. What we need are the beetles and we need the kids. We have those two things. We're good.
Yes, sometimes a blade to the throat is the most efficacious route to one's goal.
Kind of smiled. She's like, "You are perhaps the most cold-blooded Minotaur I've ever met. Glad we found you." Hey, what's going on back at the homestead? Patrick, I heard your forehead slap.
Yeah. Oh, I had a great idea, but it came from what you were saying to him, so it clearly didn't.
Depends on what part of it, because some of that stuff your character might have thought about, because your character is more involved in all this stuff than you personally are.
We don't need to hold the kids hostage. We need to hold the beetles hostage. Because not only would he lose out on this particular brand of sleep he's looking for, he'd lose out on his whole supply of sleep. And he is a junkie.
Steven, are you cool with him figuring that out? Because that sounds fun.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Because as soon as you said we need the beetles, I was like, son of a... All right.
That's not a huge leap for your mind to go when you actually know and see all the stuff.
Okay. So yeah, at that point, I'm like rushing to find Talash, and I'm like, wait. All we have to do is torch the beetles, and we're useless to him.
Okay, so
like this is the moment on the cop show.
No, actually, if it's the show, you don't even say that. You just come to the door and go, I know what we need to do. Then we
Yeah,
cut
and then the camera
Steven.
cuts.
Are you, Steven, are you coming back with a bunch of people?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. You come back to their place. It's just right by the jungle. Patrick, tell us what they find when you get there. When they get there.
Standing on the porch or the front step or whatever is my Minotaur with a very large cage that's been lined with straw and is full of beetles and a torch. And standing next to me, I assume, is Talash.
Yep. Yeah, Steven, like you kind of feel Corinne just go like rigid next to you as you're approaching. She just goes, "What got into your head that you thought this was a good idea?"
Was that directed at me or at them?
It's out to them.
Okay.
In a moment, she's going to tell you to go and try to fix this.
Does Talash want me to talk?
Yeah, she looks like she's super nervous in this. Yeah, like she's not a fighter.
Okay. Well, your master can have what he wants if he's willing to wait a reasonable period of time, or your master can have absolutely nothing. If you take this by force, you're going to kill my mistress. You're probably going to kill me. You're going to kill a number of innocents. Or we could all act like adults and do business together. Even if he took what he wanted, he would be taking on responsibilities that he doesn't feel like dealing with. Why wouldn't he just want to be our patron and make us very happily loyal when that works out better for everyone?
At which point, Stephen, you hear like very softly say to you, "Because if we wait too much longer, his father's going to cut off all of his money." And she turns to you and she's like, "We need to get this taken care of now, or every single one of us is out of a job." Talk some sense into him.
Very well. I step forward. It's very, very clever of you, brother. I am certain that you will continue to feel it is very clever when my Emperyei is done expressing his displeasure upon those you protect when he finds that his beetles have been destroyed.
Then I have a perfect solution. Don't make me destroy them.
Tell me, Mistress of Beetles, is this what you want?
No. But I also don't want you to kill any of the people that we have here, or me, or anything else.
You have opposed the will of the Emperyei. Bloodshed must take place. You know that. But what I can guarantee you is how that bloodshed will be. And I come up close to her, and I place my hand at her neck softly. But it's still a large hand because I'm a Minotaur.
Yeah, you're huge.
I'm actually, if you're getting close enough to touch her, I'm going to take a step forward. I'm not going to step in front of her, but I am going to step forward next to her and just kind of like gesture with the torch.
Oh.
Though we are brothers, we are opposed in this matter. Please do not come too close.
We will take You will take what the Emperyei desires. And those, I am certain, will be treated, if not well, not too poorly either. And we will take you. And you, I promise at least, will die by my hand, and I will make it quick. Quicker than my Emperyei would like. And I kind of stare her down. And none of those you protect, and none of those others of you protect must die tonight, at least.
Okay. So I've got hers here. Now this is the thing also. Well, actually, I don't know if we're quite at that level yet. We've got to push it towards a conflict. If it comes into conflict, it's one of those things where Patrick would also be able to throw in, but you'd be wanting to throw in stuff that might not be successes. I'll say at that point, she just goes, I would rather us see him get nothing if he's going to kill us than take the chance that we would die and he would still do everything we're afraid he's going to do.
I'm not sure. I don't follow. Is she saying that she accepts that offer?
No, I think basically that she would rather, instead of getting killed herself and all this stuff, like she'd rather make sure that he has nothing. Like if they're going to kill her, they're going to kill her. But if she gives him the Beatles or the children, she doesn't trust him not to do everything that Stephen just promised wouldn't happen to the rest of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But we are adding things to the crater now?
Yeah, I'm thinking we're probably getting towards the conflict. Unless okay. Part of this is a little bit of OOC. Yeah, I guess we're pushing towards the conflict if you want to push it there. Because you get to the point where then you kind of make the thing to see.
So obviously I don't want him to succeed. So what can I add to the crater that will prevent him from, like, if I put in my silence, he gets truths but less likely successes. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be an idea.
Okay.
The other thing you could, from an out-of-character point of view, if you put in all of your silence, and then this is also, if Stephen decided not to return any to you, you would go on a rampage, and there's a chance that Stephen would also go on a rampage, so at the very least, it would disrupt a whole bunch of shit right now.
Gotcha. All right, so I don't want to put in all my silence then.
Well, I mean, the rampage could at least end this to a degree where it would definitely disrupt what's happening.
Okay, that's a very good point.
But a lot of that would depend on, because it pulls it out, because you're putting stuff in there as well. Stephen then gets to decide what goes to who. So he could basically ensure you rampage.
Okay.
And out of character, ensure he does, unless he wants us to be a success. So that's something to put in. Because remember, you don't have to put into the crater for in character reasons. You can put it for what you want out of character to happen.
Okay. All right. So I shouldn't overthink it, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what the hell? I'll throw my silence in. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I'll throw in 4 courage.
4 courage?
Yeah.
And then how many silence?
4.
4? Okay, so Stephen's the one deciding this. He's the one pushing it towards it. So what I pulled is a no. A courage. A courage.
Okay.
Nope. And a harm.
Oh, God.
Okay, which means we will see what comes because of that. You will definitely rampage. You'll go into the frenzy. Yeah, so we have a harm, a no, and 2 courage. Had you moved courage up? Everything else is gone that you put in. Okay, we'll put these up
Okay,
here.
so I'll move 2 back to me.
Yeah, I moved 1 up. I'll move that one back down. Okay. So we've got, it looks like, you act with, oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you act with physical confidence or skill for a dramatic outcome in your favor. That is 2 courages and a harm.
But I make a dramatic mistake, an error. Well, somebody does. And actually, I'm going to say that it's Patrick's Minotaur that makes a dramatic mistake, an error.
Okay.
Because I get to decide who takes which.
Yeah, which are the consequences?
Yes.
Well, I have an idea for a dramatic mistake.
Which would be?
Torches often drop little flaming bits of pitch. And we're all distracted, getting in each other's faces. I might just light the beetles accidentally.
Okay. So we can kind of decide here with what we kind of keep going with you doing the what was that? Physical. What was one for you? Physical confidence or skill for dramatic outcome in your favor. So, if you want to tell us, we can kind of keep role playing it. What is it that you do?
I sort of grasp my arm. I sort of, because both of them were holding torches in cages, was what I heard.
Just me, I thought.
Oh, just you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we could do both. It's a lot of beetles.
Yeah, because I was thinking that perhaps I sort of to end this, I sort of slam Lagash's head against the wall and snatch the cage out of her hands. And kind of lightly throw her over my shoulder. We will take the children, but the rest will remain unharmed, and Lagash will answer for defying the Emperyei.
Point of order, since you're about to test your silence, you just called her by name.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, as far as testing the silence, unfortunately, you would keep control of your action when he rampages, because you don't have a name token. Or wait a minute, yeah, the name token.
Oh.
Because when you test it, you put all your silence and all your name tokens in, and you draw out just one. If it's a name, you go frantic and break for the jungle. Otherwise, you keep control, and then they all come back to you.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you basically need that part of you that is outside of other people first to do it. So he's got her over the shoulder. What about this serious error as you start to rampage?
I mean, the rampage itself probably doesn't count because I think I would
Correct.
just get really angry and just charge.
Mhm.
So, oh, in the process of rampaging, I drop the cage, it splits wide open, and these beetles are suddenly everywhere.
Okay. So as you start to feel like the rage come over you, as you start like just going through, like you're not far from the jungle, and that's probably where he's going to go, where you're going to head to soon. So yeah, so Steven, you see him in full rampage mode, which is very dangerous to be near. I mean, plus that all the beetles are being dropped, and in that rampage, like you're going to probably destroy a lot on your way out. And there's also a possibility other minotaurs nearby might join in. So as that's happening, what do you do, Stephen?
I shout to the guards with me. Protect the building for now. I am certain that our employer would be upset if our quarry was harmed.
Yeah, so that, like some of them are coming in trying to get close enough to it. It's difficult because, like I said, he's rampaging and going kind of nuts. A few of the other minotaurs that were sort of in that group, you see a couple of them, they start to feel it as well. You're going to lose at least 3 as you see them start to rampage too. Yeah, you've got the people running around trying to grab up some beetles they can between like the destruction, the fire, and the other ones coming. There'll probably be some, but then do you sort of get out of their way, or do you try to stop them, or what?
The ones rampaging.
Yeah, you got a couple of other minotaurs that were along with you. Some of them are starting to rampage as well. So you're going to lose about 3. There'll be like four total going into the jungle.
Yeah, I grab a younger one who's missing one horn by his remaining horn, and sort of whisper to him, "Control yourself, brother. Now is not the time.
Okay.
Do not want."
Yeah, as you grab by the horn and say that, just like a fist just catches you in the chest. As you see him starting to go, he's looking straight at you, and his eyes are starting to glow kind of a dangerous shade of red. We're not necessarily quite at the conflict yet, but we're definitely moving our way probably pretty close to it.
Yeah, I guess if it's forgotten that he is going to rampage, I'm going to try to at least as one of the few people there with the actual strength to keep things in some semblance of control, I'm going to try to at least corral these rampaging members of my kin to away and towards the jungle before they kill or get themselves killed by my fellow guards.
Okay. So you're mostly trying to just corral them?
Yeah.
As they go? Okay. I would say I've got maybe a little bit dangerous to do.
And I don't have much left, so I'm just gonna throw in my 2 courage.
If you OOC want to rampage as well, you can throw in your silence. If not, just your courage.
Sure. You know what? I'll just to see what happens.
Yeah, it's totally up to you, but it's one of those things that you're never constrained because I think you said earlier, like out of character, this is not the outcome you want to happen. Like as far as taking and killing all those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes choosing to, like said, like get rid of your silence can make that stuff happen.
Yeah, I suppose I will. See, I'll throw my silence into the pool.
Okay.
So I'm throwing in 2 silence.
Okay. Anything else along with it, or just that?
I guess a courage as well.
Okay. Because yeah, if you want to rampage, what you want to try to do is not get any of those back.
Well, but 2 courage then. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm throwing in 2 courage, 2 silence. Because I keep forgetting I can refresh these other things.
Yeah. Listen, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's just one of those things that you don't have to follow the in character or the in character stuff, and out of character, you're like, this is what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Courage. Harm. Courage. Courage. So you'll have 3 courage. So 3 courage and 1 harm.
So yeah, I'm succeeding through skill, but I have no name, so I can't deflect it onto GMC. So I am taking. Well, actually, I'm being impressive in a dangerous or contentious inflection.
Mm-hmm.
So it says I'm wondering if this inflection would count.
Oh, dangerous? Absolutely. Which one is this?
The last one that is the single harm token. Because one is being used up by the act with physical confidence.
Yeah. Impressive in a dangerous or contentious inflection recently. Yeah, you literally got the physical confidence for a dramatic outcome in your favor. So yeah, that can actually be treated as a name counter.
Okay, so does that mean it becomes a name counter that comes to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. No, yeah, I grab. I kind of grab. I suppose because I am also now rampaging myself.
Mm-hmm.
But my goal here was to try to make a space for these Minotaur to flee to the jungle with minimal injury. I kind of like sweep out my sword blade and kind of beat back some of my own guards to get them out of the way of the rampage as I feel the panic taking over myself, taking a hold of myself as well. Then I also kind of grab the one I had by the horn. I sort of throw into the other group and bang my sword loudly against the ground and bellow at them and run to the jungle.
Yeah, you are out. You just kind of feel yourself.
And I still don't have what's your gosh over my shoulder.
Yes. Yeah, so make a note of that.
To the jungle with us.
Yeah, make a note about that. Here. Okay. By the time it passes, you are deep in the jungle. Like last thing I remember, like there was a number of the guards and such were since they lost some people. You saw a fight happening with her guards and their guards. You're not quite sure what the outcome was there, but you find yourself in the jungle. Talash had screamed for a while and then stopped because she wasn't going to be able to fight her way off of you. You actually do have there's some when you finish, there's some scratches on your back in some places, possibly a little bit bruised, where she had tried to hit and scratch while you're going. But you all find yourself kind of in a clearing, and there's a moment where you can kind of catch your breath. So once you're out here, a couple things happen. Okay, so each of you will get if you do not have a courage or mind token, you get one. And the foremost will be one of the philosopher Minotaur that's a GM character that's with you. It's one of the other ones which is mostly going to be he'll decide sort of at the end if someone gets a name, or they'll help sort of decide on that one, and sort of also decide when you end up leaving. Yeah, you get a silence token for each inflection in which you take part, and if you wait for till Dringo Glod comes to you, you can refresh your life token if that's gone. So token-wise, where are we at? So how far down on tokens are each of you? A lot of silence.
No, I made a mistake. I should only have none there, right?
Oh, so each of you should now have one silence for being in the jungle. So when you end up out there, you gain a silence back.
Okay. So I'm at 3 courage, a mind, a hand, silence, and a life.
Okay. The same, but 2 mind.
Okay. So probably down a couple mind is my guess at least for the philosopher.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I think you usually have 4. And then how many tokens are you down from your standard?
I'm down a mind, a courage, and a couple silence.
Okay. So for each sort of inflection or sort of conflict you get into, you will regain a little bit of silence as long as you are in the jungle. So you sort of catch your breath, and then it's all of you. It's funny. It's a total of 4 guards, including Stephen. They're with Talash and Patrick. Very often this usually means you've lost your job and have to find other employment when you come back. So there's not loyalty is not necessarily a thing here. What do you do once you catch your breath?
Well, that didn't go very well, did it?
Yeah, she's grabbed a hold of you. She's just and she's looking at she doesn't quite understand that there's not really a reason for them to keep loyalty because rampaging means they're fired.
I've kind of I'll have my arm around her and I'll kind of have her back. And you said there was one of the ones that came out with us was a senior, or
was a philosopher, so he'll be the foremost.
Okay, so I'll just turn to him and I'll be like, "What happens when a human comes with us?"
Well, we probably try to make sure she doesn't die.
Good news.
Well, the good news is we're not working for him anymore.
He is really just the worst.
He is He is admirable at least in the ferocity of his foolishness.
I suppose there's damning with faint praise.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, they're damning with faint praise. And what were you saying?
I hope that your spectacle has not killed too many of your precious community, brother.
just kind of grunt.
I do not expect that building will be standing when we return, if we return.
So yeah, at this point, I'm probably just gonna turn to Talash and be like, "I'm so sorry, I failed you and everyone.
I was the one who got us involved in dealing sleep. That falls more on me than you. Reason to get out of here.
Perhaps. I will do my best to make sure that you come through this when we return eventually to civilization. I don't know what your future will hold. We are nameless and faceless. We will just mingle with the crowd once more, and no one will have ever heard of us, but I don't know what will happen with you.
Keep your mistress of nothing safe. This is not a safe place. Close, I should say. This is not a safe place for her.
I concur.
She kind of nods. Was one thing for you to know. If you want your name number to go up while you're in the jungle, because if you leave the jungle and you have at least 2 name in your supply, your name number goes up by 1. So looking at the menu of crater outcomes, if you end up with 2 mind and a no, your cleverness brings an outcome in your favor, get a name token. 1 harm and 2 mind, your cleverness brings an outcome in your favor, gain a name token. 1 life and 2 harm, you act with physical confidence or skill for a dramatic outcome in your favor, gain a name token. And those look to be, besides like the 1 harm being left over at the end, those can be the ways to get name tokens. So if you get some of those to happen, you end up getting a name number, which means that can refresh, which means you'll always have some name tokens on it. And that is sort of kind of becomes, the more name, like the name number and the stuff you have, you become a little higher up in society. You go from like, your employments change. Instead of being just working for like, as guards, as messengers, and stuff like that, you got to become more involved in bigger things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at that point, you're kind of like looking around to see where you're at. You notice not far away there are what clearly used to be some buildings. The undergrowth here is pretty thick, but you see like parts of a wall, but then it turns kind of quick enough that like it was clearly a room or a house at one point, and you see it stretches a little bit further into the forest. You're seeing some more buildings that have been essentially taken over by the jungle. What do you do?
I look between the group and I gesture at one of the more able-bodied ones to accompany me into looking at these ruins, that perhaps we can find some means of figuring out where of orienting ourselves within this trackless jungle.
Okay. And Patrick, are you there with him, or are you doing something else?
I'm at this point, my whole thing is making sure that Talash gets back alive. So, like, if there's an exploratory party, I'm probably not on it. But if there's like any sort of action, I'm probably headfirst into it. So
okay. So, I mean, there's only there's the 5 of you and then Talash there. So as you're looking through some of the buildings, it's kind of weird because the plants here are a bit different. They're you've got like usually undergrowth kind of spreads out. This stuff seems like it's coming like almost up. I mean, sort of think of like you see like shrubs and hedges where it all comes up. It's all been kind of like cut and touch up. Well, it hasn't been cut that way. It hasn't, like, someone hasn't come out and made it kind of be big. Like they're more like reaching up towards the sky as opposed to spreading out. These are not the kind of plants that generally go up.
Hmm.
But there are a number of buildings. As you're going through, you see just ruins. You can still see in a couple of the homes underneath what's still left. There are like cups and plates and other things. A lot of them sort of shattered, but they seem to have been out whenever all of this happened. I mean, granted, it was a long time ago because a lot of this stuff is age has sort of torn it down. And you're going? Are you going deeper in?
I mean, I prod the undergrowth suspiciously with my sword, but I think that but yes, I guess I'm looking for anything that I might use perhaps to gain some advantage over the jungle.
Okay. Yeah, you're kind of hitting with the sword and then sort of checking in. As you're going through, it actually starts the plant life starts to thin out a little bit as you go further in. And Patrick, are you still waiting in the clearing?
I mean, I don't really know where else we like. I don't really see a reason for us maybe to for our group to have like split up. Maybe we're all just traveling into these ruins together.
Yeah, I'm probably just going with if that's what everybody's about.
Okay. Yeah, as you're all kind of heading through, and like you're hitting with the sword, they just appear to kind of be regular plants. And as you're heading through, this place used to be like probably the size of maybe 3 or 4 of the neighborhoods in the Darren Glade, really fairly large. As you head in, you start to hear less sort of insects and other animals close by, and the foliage starts to thin out and become a little more separate from each other, and there's times where you can almost make out almost a humanoid shape inside of the plants themselves. It almost looks like it's like part of the plant is growing and almost a
what? I mean, I'm kind of doing something right now. I can't talk. Sorry, was that directed at me?
No, I just said you see like in the plants and such, there's almost these humanoid shapes almost starting to come out of the plants as you're going through, and they're starting to thin out. There's not as many as there were on the outskirts.
I'm just I think I'm just gonna stay with the group as we move forward, and just I don't want to get too close to these plants. The humanoid shapes are kind of unnerving.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to become one of them.
Yeah, and Patrick, you're going. You see, like on the you're a little bit behind. You've got her close, and she's grabbing like tight onto you. Out of the corner of your eye, you see someone moving.
Mm.
And when you turn, you look. There's a man there who's dressed like a lot of like leaves and such have been pressed in mud, sort of around his body.
Okay.
And he's running parallel. He's going parallel to where all of you are.
Hmm. Does he see me see him?
He actually seems a little more interested in the group a little bit more ahead of you, because you're probably lagging a little bit behind, just to see if there's anything that kind of comes out.
Okay. And he's moving towards them at a pretty steady clip?
Yeah, like mostly parallel, but he is sort of starting to come towards.
Okay, well then I'm probably going to call out a little and be like, brothers, and just tip my head towards him. I mean, unless I'm like way back, but...
No, I guess you're probably not way back. All right, Steven, you hear him call out?
Yeah, I do. I sort of see. So I see this person coming towards us.
Yeah, if Patrick calls the attention, like if you guys turn, he sort of stops, and you see his eyes go wide.
I uneasily place my hand on the hilt of my blade, and I say, I had not thought there were many locals of these parts, friend. Perhaps you might offer us some aid in finding our way back to Duringo.
Dringo Glade.
Yes, Duringo Glade.
Yeah, which I believe I think that's how I heard Sega pronounce it. And at that point, his eyes go kind of like, yes, 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 yes. And as he kind of rushes in, you see he's not armed. He's like,
This is the jungle. I still keep my hand on the hilt of my blade.
yeah, and like you do know, there are people that live in the jungle. There's the Ever War takes place entirely within the jungle, but at this point, it's like it's been so long since you have come. Please, food, drink. Okay. And at which point he kind of turns and he points a little bit deeper into, like, it's starting to clear. You're seeing more like clear streets at this point, like what used to be. I mean, there's still vegetation and such, but there's not much of it. It's like the ones you've seen before. And you're like, I'm so glad you're here. Come, we'll give you some help, take you back home. And considering we're close to the 3-hour mark, this is probably not a bad place to kind of call it.
Yeah.
I think, are you both in next week?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I don't. Do we want to do like roses and thorns here at the end, or
Sure.
like what worked for you? What would you like to see?
Although there is one final scene where
Oh, true.
two nameless Minotaurs.
Yes. Yeah, actually, yeah. Let's do that. Then we can do do that. So yeah, there's there's a scene with two nameless Minotaurs, who are speaking over what's happened and how it's affected, and that'll be the two of you, and you get to make a determination of what this has done for the city itself, or like what's happened.
Okay, so this part I completely missed. Are we like the Greek chorus?
Essentially, yeah.
Yes, basically, yeah.
Yeah, you've got like some nameless Minotaurs like speaking around a fire, or possibly on guard duty, or something along those lines, and they're talking about what has happened in the session and kind of letting us know how that actually how that affects like parts of the city itself.
Yeah, I think as they are patrolling, one says, "A fire blazed across the poor district tonight, brother." Oh, sorry, here.
But the dog needed to be let out.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, so I missed literally everything.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, it's essentially like a Greek chorus. It's two nameless Minotaurs discussing like what has happened during the session and giving us a little idea of how that's affected other things in the city.
Okay, so we're just like gossiping around a fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard that got a little ugly.
Yes. They say that the fire cannot be contained, and that half the poor district has been caught in the blaze at this point.
Well, ain't that always the way? Any what's going to happen with the Emperyei?
The Emperyei is angry. They say the woman, the mistress of beetles, is now wanted, and he will pay her weight in gold to whoever brings her to him.
Well, I mean, isn't it really the Emperyei?
A man or Minotaur.
Interesting. Although if that's the way he treats people he's working with, I don't know if I'd want to be the one who turned that bounty in.
No, there is no justice in it, brother, but there is rarely justice in the way of men.
How's his father going to react to the fact that he just burned down half the neighborhood?
His father is old. He is powerful, but he is old. Perhaps he reacts fast enough. Perhaps the Emperyei is faster and has the blade at his throat before he responds. One will happen or the other. but this city will fall into war with itself. Of that I am certain.
No doubt.
Okay. So at this point, you talk about both of your storylines, because there's, especially often with like 3 or 4 players, there's multiple storylines going along.
Yeah.
Each of you have 2 or fewer silence, so each of your name numbers goes up by 1.
Our name number or the
Your name number.
Okay,
So
it goes
you don't
from...
get an extra name token, but you do now have a 1 for your name number.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. As you want to do with Roses and Thorns, what worked for you, what didn't?
The overall, let's see. Roses, that was fun. I liked the idea. I liked how we built that little community. And then, I didn't necessarily love that we torched it, but hey, emotional connection. Thorns, I'm gonna have I gotta remember to separate the character narrative from the meta narrative. So like when I'm putting stuff in the crater, it's not what the character wants; it's what I want. And so I gotta remember.
I have a similar. I kept misremembering the way that would work. Also, of course, my own trouble remembering to actually remember the rules. That was the main way I lost. I lost half my silence to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally really enjoyed the fact that we ended up creating 2 Minotaur who have very different ways of viewing silence and what it means to act upon silence, rather than it being this like single monolithic definition. So I found that really enjoyable.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of room for discussion of how things work and what's the best way to live.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting because I was like, unlike say like a Dogs in the Vineyard, where the players are arguing sort of. I don't know if either of you played.
I've read it, but I haven't played it.
Yeah, when I run it, like they usually the last 40 minutes are the players arguing about what happened. This one, it was because like I like you like your Minotaur was like, yeah, the best thing to do is let less people die. Like, which was like that kind of thing where it's like kind of cold-blooded, but social good. You're not wrong. And I was like, it made a very interesting thing where I'm like, oh, for this guy, I'd have to push harder to put him in those situations, which is like you can't necessarily know before a session starts. But then you're like, oh, cool. Now, when putting stuff together for like next employments and such, it's like, okay, where do we find where those kind of buttons are? Because I think the build over some time for this game is really important.
Yeah, well, and I think that really demonstrates the divergence in how the characters approach silence, right? Because he lets a little bit out of emotion, but then ultimately he's totally dispassionate when it comes to the greater good.
Yeah.
Whereas I got attached to the people that I was living with, so yeah,
cool.
I really like how that shows that off.
Yeah, I think that's a really. I like when a moral quandary is interestingly put in a game, which you don't find a lot. Sweet, I had fun.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for running. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for running.
Yep, and I'll catch y'all next week.
All right.
I think you're both next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later.